I am here today representing the Office of Undergraduate Education. The Office of Undergraduate Education develops and supports academic opportunities for Rensselaer's undergraduate students in the context of the Accelerated Degree Program, or ACCEL, ACCEL, as we are calling it. This means that we're involved in policy discussions and in the coordination of administrative matters, but primarily our role is to support the work of the undergraduate advising hubs. The School of Engineering First Year Advising Hub will be your primary source of information about the Accelerated Degree Program, and the Hub advisors, Valerie and her colleagues, will work closely with each student who's interested in this program to develop a suitable degree plan. As Valerie said, this presentation will be recorded. It will be posted on the Office of Undergraduate Education website, and I've put the link in the chat so that you can see it. I think that Valerie's going to post it on some School of Engineering outlets as well. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Valerie, who's one of the wonderful and extremely knowledgeable advisors in the School of Engineering Advising Hub, and she is going to give you the bulk of today's presentation. So thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much, Karen. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Valerie Swenson, and as Karen mentioned, I am an academic advisor in the School of Engineering First Year Advising Hub. I myself advise biomedical, chemical, and industrial and management engineering students. However, the advisors in the hub, each of us have a major that we work with, and you should all be familiar with us, but we work with students for their first year here, and then afterwards move on to faculty advising. So what I'm here to do today is give you some information about the ACCEL program. So what we'll be doing, kind of just to give a brief overview about the presentation. For the duration of the presentation, you will be muted. If you have any questions, you can feel free to put them into the chat. If you could, wait toward the end, but if there's something pressing that comes up, I will get to those questions at the end when we have a Q&A session. However, what I want to do is talk about, the ACCEL program, both ACCEL and ACCEL Plus, how the program works, what some of the benefits are for the ACCEL program, as well as some of those program requirements. We'll talk a bit about, is ACCEL right for me? And that's probably the number one question I've had from students so far in talking to them about this program. We'll give you the way to opt in. I'll give a brief example of some academic plans, and then again at the end we will have Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them to the chat, and then we will answer those at the very end as well. My portion of this probably will be 20-25 minutes talking, giving some examples of ACCEL plans, and then at the very end, answering your questions. And the one thing that I do want to stress with this program, and I probably will sound like a broken record, you'll hear this over and over, is that, the ACCEL program, you'll be working with your academic advisor to create a template and a program plan that is right for you. So we have examples of program templates. However, like with anything, where students come into RPI with having different experience, different AP, AB, other transfer credits come in, everyone might start at a different point. You might take some classes that are a bit different at different times. However, the goal is, again, this accelerated program that gets you either your bachelor's degree or your master's degree, if you wish, within an accelerated amount of time. So to start, what is the ACCEL program? So the ACCEL program allows highly motivated students the opportunity to gain their degree or degrees in an accelerated time frame. So there are two different programs. The ACCEL program is for you to get your undergraduate degree within 3 years, and then ACCEL Plus gives you the opportunity to get your undergraduate and graduate degree within 4 years. So it's really an accelerated timeline in terms of your academic trajectory, but what it really is kind of a reworking of your academic trajectory. And again, I'll show you some program plan examples later so you can see what that looks like, but it's basically strategically using the different semesters that you have here, both during the academic year, the ARCH semester, and then your ARCH semester away to be able to both complete your requirements and then also have an ARCH semester away for experience. So again, ACCEL for students who would like to complete within 3 years, and then the ACCEL Plus allows students to get the bachelor's and master's degree within 4, also known as a co-terminal. And then the ACCEL program is just a way of kind of formally doing that. So, as previously mentioned, you will, for the Excel program, complete all of those requirements for a 4-year degree within 3 years. And then for the MBA or a Master of Science degree, you'll do that within 4 years, which typically takes 5 or more. So really, to sum it up and to kind of put it in one sentence, it's a restructuring of your academic path. So you are here, you're interested. That's kind of the first step with this, right? So there's a couple of different things that differentiate students who do the Excel program from a student who wouldn't do Excel. So the first thing is that as a student, rather than participate in the arch during the summer between your sophomore and junior year, you would actually do early arch, aka you would do the arch semester this coming summer between your freshman and sophomore year. Then you will continue on into classes for your second year, fall, spring. And then rather than have an away semester during the academic year, as with Arch typically, either during that fall or that spring, students opt into that, you would do your Arch away semester during that following summer after you are here for early Arch. And then students who are interested in pursuing a co-terminal degree can also take an internship in that summer following the third year as well, between the third and the fourth year. So again, you'll be creating an individualized path based upon your own academic trajectory, your academic goals, and where you might have come in with credits. And if you've met with your hub advisor up until this point, you've discussed classes for the spring, you may already have a template that's created for your time moving forward here. And that is exactly what we will be doing if you are interested in this program. It will be a one-on-one meeting. We'll create a template for you, and you'll see how you're able to reach those academic goals in that amount of time. So some of the benefits of the Excel program include obviously graduating in a shorter amount of time. So again, 3 years for the Excel program and then 4 years if you want to do that master's after that. It's a shorter amount of time than typical. So with that, it kind of moves you along in a quicker amount of time. And for students who do perhaps want to do what's next, be it going into the workforce right after college or your graduate degree, be it continuing your studies, it does shorten that amount of time for you. Like typically, and like any student, you also have an academic plan tailored to you for the Excel program. And that's something that's, again, a normal, typical thing, but we really structure it to make sure that you are meeting all of those courses in the time you need. In terms of financial, with less semesters, obviously you're paying tuition for less semesters as well. And then for Excel Plus, another thing with that is that the financial aid for your fourth year, it continues into graduate studies. So that's something that also is along with the co-terminal program. But what's nice is your aid kind of follows you as you continue your path here at RPI. Another thing too is early registration. So with that, each semester you are going to get early registration, aka you'll register at the very beginning of registration to ensure that you're getting the classes that you need, and that's just but another perk of this program. So at the very end of this presentation, I'm going to give a link of how you can sign up for Excel, and along with that will be basically you signing up through there is what's going to help designate that early registration for obviously not this coming semester, but when you register for fall classes. So another point too that Karen had thrown into the chat here is you're here for your undergraduate degree, but for your master's degree, let's see what the point here was. I saw this come up in the chat. An application is required and admission is not automatic. So that's a great point there. Thank you for that.
And Valerie, I'll just throw in that
Yeah.
students who are interested in that program should visit the website of the Office of Graduate Education. That is the office that works with students who are interested in the co-terminal degree program. So in order to participate in Excel Plus, the students need to apply for the co-terminal program as they normally would. So just wanted to make that point clear.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, so the next thing are program requirements. So the website for Excel lists these different program requirements as well. And again, this program is for very motivated students who want to get their degree within an accelerated time frame. So as per the website, students must bring in a minimum of 12 AP or transfer credits in STEM prior to their freshman year. That being said, really the goal of this is to help motivated students complete their course load. So in meeting with students who are interested in Excel, and I've had students who have done a program very similar to Excel without this program had not yet been created and formalized. I have students who have graduated within 3 years and such, but been able to do so by taking classes over the summer and such. So just because you don't come in with that, maybe for instance, you have 2 STEM courses and 1, Haas course and such. Again, this program is so tailored and specific to you that we can move around those courses if needed. It does make it easier if you do have AP or transfer credits that have already come in, or if you're going to transfer more in. And I'll show you kind of what the class load looks like with that and the structure of the templates with that in mind. However, again, motivation is the main thing. Also, maintaining good academic standing is necessary of this program. And again, we mentioned it, a meeting with a hub advisor. And you'll want this to be, after the completion of this first semester. We want to see how you did your first semester, and also, moving forward, see how we can help you meet these goals. So a meeting is going to be very important for many reasons. The creation of this template, this program plan that's specific to you, but also ensuring that you're academically set for this program. And this is the number one question that I have gotten, I would say, when it comes to this program is the Excel program a right fit for me? So I'm going to start from the bottom and then kind of, work my way up here. The first consideration I want you to make are, what are your goals? So that's going to help determine whether this program is right for you. If you want to graduate in 3 years, and that's probably one of the reasons you're here, or 4 years with a master's degree, um, that's a great goal to have right there, and that would help to motivate you to do this program. So, and that's what we're here to do, is help you obtain those goals. And then, looking at kind of the program specifics, if you transferred in credits, or if you're willing to create room to take more credits during specific semesters, because again, you're completing, 128 to 131 credits, typically designated over 4 years for your undergraduate degree within 3 plus the summer. So the transfer in of courses ahead of time, and or the willingness to take some more credits here and there would help you be a good fit for this. And then also ask yourself if you're able to do early arch this summer, because then that's a program requirement. We want you to be able to continue through classes. And then also if you've met with your hub advisor. So if those are your goals, then the answer may be yes. So this is some information I've been asked as well. So if you are interested in the Excel program, the way that you will opt in is through this link here. So I will visit this. The next part of this presentation is I'll show you a couple of examples of plans, just so you get a feel for what it looks like in terms of academic planning. But this website gives a web form that allows you to opt into the program. So we want you to do this before February 15th, 2022, in order to be considered within this program for early registration. So that's really what that date is very important for, to ensure that you get that early registration for your fall 2022 courses. Another thing with Excel is you can also, if you decide to do this program, then you decide, hey, I'd like to stay for the 4 years, or hey, maybe I don't want to do a master's degree after all, I want to go into industry. You're able to opt out of the program as well. It's not binding or anything like that. So, this form really is to, you've already indicated interest, you're here, but then also to solidify that interest and to ensure that you are on track for early registration for the fall classes. So this next thing I would like to show you are some examples of plans. So what I want to do quickly is let us, come on, allow. So first here, what I'll show you is the web form that I talked about if you are interested in this program. It's a very brief form. It's going to ask for some kind of general basic information, name, RIN, RPI email address, your major. If you're a dual, then you can put that information in here. The very first term you started at Rensselaer, the number of credits generally that you're bringing into RPI, as well as the number of credits you're currently enrolled in for fall 2021. Lastly, the number of credits that you're enrolled for spring 2022, which again, we just finalized, last month. So another thing here is that you can indicate whether you would like to do the co-terminal program and if you're interested in that here. So again, this program is not binding, but if you are interested in having more information about that, that little box is there. So this form will sign you up for ACCEL, and then this is for ACCEL Plus if you think about it that way. And to that point too, I'm a big stories person. So I have had students who have wanted to do the co-terminal master's degree program. You know, they've signed up for something like the engineering MBA or another co-term program that, brings you right through your bachelor's and your master's. And, students have gotten jobs. They decided not to do it, or students have even, opted in to do a co-term program, Eng MBA, decided they wanted to do their master's as a co-term later rather than earlier. So this is all information expressing, and it's going to keep you up to date about different updates with ACCEL. But what's nice again is that flexibility that's available to you. So the next thing I want to show you are some examples of templates. So at the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned I advise 3 specific majors. I figured I'd talk about some of those specifically. I advise biomedical, chemical, and industrial and management engineers. So we created these program templates, and this was something I created over the summer, but that still rings true. So we've got accelerated program templates for biomedical engineering, and just to give you a visual about how the courses are structured. So here we are, it's our first year, and we've registered for spring classes, right? This is our hypothetical. So this template was created with 12 credits worth of AP in mind. You'll see here that we actually have 2 STEM and then 1 humanities course. Then again, if a student doesn't come in with that, if you're willing to take extra credits certain semesters, then you'll be able to get what you need. So with that in mind, this template takes into account what students are taking in the fall. Perhaps this is what they signed up for even before they realized that they were interested in ACCEL. In fact, this is probably what I would have recommended anyways, exactly, and then for the spring as well. So you've got fall, spring, your first year. Then here you have early arch. So while you would be taking the early arch semester as a freshman becoming a sophomore rather than a sophomore becoming a junior, there is a number of classes that are offered throughout the arch semester. So again, this template is more of a guide than anything. Perhaps you came in with more math credits. You don't need to take math over the summer, but these are just some examples of courses that you could take. The students could take physics too. They could take humanities courses. They could take math courses. Biomaterials is a class that's offered that they could take. They can take free electives. There's our professional development series as well. So we have them slated for 12 courses here, but credits here, but you can go, 16. I would never really go beyond probably 18 over the summer. We try to have students keep it at probably 12 on the low end, 17 on the high end if possible. But again, everyone's a bit different, just keeping that in mind here. So then we've got these courses, right? So these are a mix of freshman courses, and then typically multi-bear is a sophomore course, so is in physics too. Then we get into our second year here. So we have some of these courses that these actually technically usually are taken over here. We're just transferring them over here, most of them. So you've got some of your main engineering courses for your major. You've got a humanities course to balance things out, a programming course, and each major typically has a programming course. And then in the spring here, you have more of those courses. Then the summer between your second year and your third year is when you would do your arch away semester. And then we would roll into your third and final year. So again, you would take classes in the fall, classes in the spring. With these semesters, you'll see that the credit count is 18, 19 credits. Again, this is just an example, and we can move things around to ensure that everything fits and you're able to take the courses you need without overloading any given semester. So your third year, you've got your courses here, you're finishing up some of those biomed courses. Biomed has 2 semesters worth of a capstone course, which is kind of the classes you take your senior year, your final year. So you've got 1 here, 2 here, and then your last semester you're taking a lot of electives, technical electives, you're taking some humanities electives and free electives. And then bam, you see here, 4th year is free to do what you'd like. If you do Excel Plus, get into that program, you would roll into those master's level courses here, or you go on after your RPI degree. So that's just one example. So you can see it's really just a restructuring of your academic trajectory based upon where you are, based upon where you want to be. And then let's see here. So we have those plans for other majors as well. I do not advise mechanical engineers, but you're able to see the courses that are involved here. Again, it's a 12 credit semester for the summer, which is where you want to be for that first summer here for the early arch. And then you're taking some other classes. You've got, 17, 18, 19 credits a semester, nothing too over the top or anything like that. And then your 4th year, you're free to do what you want. Aero, same thing. I don't advise arrows either, so I won't speak to these courses too much. But, your first semester is kind of a typical course load that you would take. A couple changes here and there, but I'd have you take these. Again, it's a 12 credit semester for the early arch, which is what we want you to have for early arch specifically. You've got 19 credit semesters here, 18, and then your 16 credit semester for your last during your spring. 4th year, clear. So one more thing is I'm going to give a sample of one that I had created with a student who is interested in the Excel program. Every advisor has a bit of a spin on the templates that they create, but I created this one in Excel as I do, and then I put the classes that he transferred in right up top here. So we talked about 12 credits worth of AP. He actually had 20, which is great. So then we have him taking these classes right now. We have these classes recommended for spring. The early arch, we had 14 here, but again, this can be moved around a bit depending on what he wants to do. And then for the remaining semesters, they actually credit count wise, it's pretty low, which is good. Your senior year, your last year here, you don't want to be doing too many credits. So that's definitely a good thing. So here, again, some examples of templates. You will get your own template. You will get your own plan of study depending upon your goals, what you want to do, what you've come in with, and how you're going to move forward. So examples of plans, we've done that. So at this point, what I would like to do is open up to Q&A. If you could, please put your questions in the chat if you could type them, just because in addition to kind of keeping this streamlined, what I want to do is record the questions that you have. I find that typically if one student has a question, multiple students have that same exact question. So if we can keep track of this, maybe perhaps add it to the Q&A that we'll have through the hub or elsewhere, that's very helpful. So again, feel free to throw any questions you have into the chat and we will open that up. All right, so while we're kind of waiting for some questions to come through, I will continue talking as I do.
Here's a question,
Oh,
Valerie.
perfect. Okay. When will we receive confirmation that we are in the Excel program officially? Karen, do you have that answer?
I don't. I think once students indicate their interest, they're going to be sent to you or to one of the other hub advisors, depending on what their major is. And when the hub advisors sit down with students to develop an academic plan, at that point, if it seems feasible, the hub advisors will give students permission to move forward and have early registration. And then I think the assumption is that that particular student is on an accelerated degree path. As Valerie said, students can opt out at any time and can really opt in at a later point if they make up some of these credits somewhere. So At this point, there's no official formal letter or designation that's going to come out, but students will know through their advising sessions with Hub advisors that they're on that track. And I hope that answers the question, but if not, please say so in the chat and I'll try again. I guess I answered the question.
Yeah, thank you for that. Cool. So something I'll bring up too is this is, this program is a structured way to be able to accelerate your degree template, your trajectory. Again, I'm a very much a storytelling person. I do have a student who wanted to graduate within 3 years but didn't come in with any AP. So she took classes over the summer between her, freshman and sophomore year. She's loading up on credits, she'll do the arch typically and things like that, do her away semester. She will graduate in 3 years, but I think this is the kind of program that really helps formalize and give students that opportunity to accelerate their degree trajectory without having to overload or jump through too many hoops and things like that. So again, it's something that students have done in the past, very motivated students wanting to graduate in 3 years, whether it be she wants to do research, she wants to go for her master's and her PhD afterwards. That's kind of her motivation, but this is really a structured way to do that. All right, another question here. Okay, thanks. Does it take paperwork for the registrar to process early graduation, or is it on our advisors to make sure we have early graduation?
Registration. You read that graduation, but registration.
Oh, whoops. Early registration. Technically early graduation, I guess, too,
Yeah.
but the question at hand is registration. So um, that would be a time ticket that you would get earlier. So in signing up for the program, there probably should be some designation that puts you in the program, but much like you got your time tickets for, the fall and the spring semesters, um, rather than having a time ticket, some students had it toward the end. Early registration means that you'll have it toward the beginning and you get that email.
And just to follow up on that, Valerie, so when students complete the opt-in form, those forms will be collected by my office, the Office of Undergraduate Education, and we will send the names and the information of students who have signed up to the Hub advisors. So at that point, if a student who has opted in has not yet met with his or her advisor, the advisor will reach out to that student, and then we will get a list of names that we will send to the registrar's office. So my assumption would be if, Valerie, you meet with a student and it's just not going to work out, you'll tell that student at that time, this isn't going to work out. You're not eligible for early arch at this time.
Yeah, and I've had that conversation with students too. They'll see the credit count, what they need to take, and be like, maybe this isn't for me. Um, that being said, we want to support you with this goal if you do want to graduate within 3 years. And kind of in reverse, I've had students who, some of them are at this session right now, have indicated interest in doing the Excel program, and their templates, specifically the top for my own purposes, say Excel. So we start planning that ahead of time. So yes. It's definitely a perk though, that early registration. All right, keep the questions coming if you have any.
I guess you did a really good job, Valerie, because there aren't a lot of questions. Does anyone else have any questions that they want to put into the chat?
Oh, the opt-in form in the chat. Absolutely, that's a great idea. Give me one moment. Grab that link for you. Right. And another thing too is if you have questions after this, maybe it's something that's very specific to you and your academic plan. Maybe it's something you get off this call today and you're like, wait, I forgot to ask that. There's a couple of different resources and ways that you can contact people here. So, the first, the Excel program website has general information here. Karen also provided the undergraduate education website, so we have that info here. And then for each person, if you're on engineering here, you have an engineering advisor. If you are interested in this, you'll want to email your advisor directly. But if you're kind of unsure, you have general questions, we do have this program or this email address rather, soehub@rpi.edu. This goes to all of our advisors. So if you send an email here, then it will kind of go to something we all share, and then we'll be able to, direct your inquiries the best way that we can. So again, primary contact would be your actual hub advisor, but you can feel free to reach out to this email address too, and someone will address any questions you have.
So if there aren't additional questions, Valerie, maybe we should wrap things up, but I think we both want to give students an opportunity to ask any last minute questions in the chat, if there are any.
Yes, I'll give it give it a minute here, so if you do have anything else.
Valerie, I don't know if you can answer this, but are you able to tell us how many students in a typical year would normally graduate early or be on an accelerated degree path, even before the ACCEL program was formalized the way that it has been? Is that a typical degree path for students to graduate in fewer than 4 years?
That's a great question. So because we advise first year students, I think probably my info would be a bit skewed just because students go to their faculty advisors afterwards, and I do keep in touch with a number of them. There's one major specifically that I advise first through third years at this point. I'd say that the typical student doesn't graduate. I would say that's not maybe a typical path, maybe 3.5 years kind of thing. I do have a lot of students, however, who have gone and gotten coterms. So have gone after they complete their undergraduate degree and gone right into their master's degrees here. In fact, over the past year or so, I think that the number of students who have gone to get master's degrees have increased. So um, it depends, I'd say, but I'd say typically it's a 4-year thing. But again, this is for very motivated students who do want to speed it up a little bit.
There's another question here.
Oh, perfect.
I think maybe that's for you and definitely
Let's
not for
take a
me.
look. Will this be reflected on DegreeWorks? So I'm actually not sure the question or the answer to that question. Let me write that one down. Oh, so yeah, so your be reflected on DegreeWorks. So what I want to make sure of is whether there will be kind of a designation like up at the top. Will it say Excel program DegreeWorks? But DegreeWorks is going to be updating with the courses that you take, if that makes sense. So the classes you're taking, your DegreeWorks is just going to fill out quicker than the average or typical student. So it'll be reflected in that way. But let me get back with you and see if it will be indeed reflected on your DegreeWorks plan as, Excel program participant kind of thing. Great question. And again, just so you know, the questions you're asking here are really helpful um, for us as well, and knowing the questions that students have so that we can kind of contribute them to a Q&A and put some more information out there for students, because if one person has a question, typically more than one does too.
And as we get answers, we'll just continue to update, maybe this is what you just said, but continue to update the FAQs that are housed on the admissions website.
Yes.
You can get to that through undergraduate ed. Any additional questions from anyone?
All right, not seeing anything else, so maybe let's go ahead and wrap up here. Oh, actually, perfect. 11th hour here. If we get arch exception for the first semester, first summer, do we also have to get arch exception for the second summer? So that second summer is when you will participate in the arch away semester. So that's, co-op, internship, research, study abroad, independent learning experience based, and the away semester is an institute requirement. So you are going to want to do your away semester at that point. And it's not, so doing the ACCEL program isn't an arch exception. It is you doing the arch earlier rather than later. So for graduation requirement purposes, and I would argue just generally for your education here, you will want to do that arch away semester still. So it's more of a restructuring than anything. I hope that answers your question.
Actually, Valerie, that raises a question for me, and I'm not sure if I'm going in the right direction here, but if would a student who wants to graduate on the accelerated path be able to receive an exemption from the early arch, from that arch summer of coursework? Because in that case, wouldn't the student then not have enough credits in order to move towards an accelerated degree? And maybe that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah,
But,
so I think that is one of the things with this program that is, you do want to do the early arch between your freshman and sophomore year. That probably would be a question for Tiffany Powell with undergraduate.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, let's go ahead and wrap this up then. Again, thank you all so much for being here this afternoon and attending our session. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to your hub advisor or the different resources that we had shown previously. The opt-in form for the web form is available both in the chat and then also online. And we're glad to, again, answer any questions that you have.
Thank you for coming, everyone.